Hello and welcome to episode 117 of Gamers with a Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Antony Chesson, and joining me this week, it's the other Spark on the pod. He's equal parts board games, cake and retro consoles. It's Mr. James Thomas.
Hello. I can't believe, though, you called it 117. This in classic gaming terms, this is surely 117.
Is your name John Spartan?
This is...
Hello.
This whole episode should be dedicated to Master Chief.
Oh, that's it. We just talk about nothing but what's your favourite Halos.
It's 2, and the conversation ends. That's it. It's done.
2? It's not 2. It's ODST.
No, man.
Oh, my word. Oh, my word.
That's like the Mario Sunshine of Halos, isn't it?
I've heard people say Reach, but ODST is good for a story. I would say 2 or 3.
Yeah,
yes.
I think the dawn of Xbox Live, playing it online.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really good maps on. Anyway, and also joining us this week, he's all part beer. It's Mr. Manny Brown.
That is official. That is 100% me. I've got to tell you. Although I've only got water today. I'm off the beer. I don't know why.
That's really bizarre because you guys have over the weeks I've started drinking beer on the podcast now because you guys always come with a beer and I just sat there with water and now I'm looking at both of you.
I know. It's January. You've got to have that token effort to be a little bit more healthy, right? So this is it. I'm having water on a Wednesday. Or Thursday.
Before the next Flavorly box arrives, anyway.
Is that what it is? You're just out of Flavorly. You're just waiting for the next box to arrive.
Pretty much. The only beers in the fridge at the moment are Ali's, and I feel I can't steal those. It's like she specifically marked out her territory for sour beers, and so I can't, in good conscience, take those because she'll know. She chose them specially.
She'll murder you.
I'm guessing.
With what? Lambic?
Lambic beer is really sour, sort of Belgian beer. It's delicious.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will tip her off on that.
Please do.
So, chaps, I love how this has just gone right off the rails. So, chaps, how's your week been? James, how's your week been?
It's been good. We went over to Manchester for a bit of a long weekend last weekend to go and visit some friends. A few have moved up over the years, so it was nice to catch up with a few of them all in one go. Took the time to go to some of the museums and what have you around there. But every time I go to a new city, there's pretty much a defined set of Google searches I have to do before I go up there. And they usually involve something like insert city name retro shop, insert city name tea shop. It just has to be the way. And I found this quite nice little retro stall in the middle of, I want to say, it's almost like a department store, but for like indie shops. So there was a lot of punk or dress up or piercings and stuff like that. And out in the back there was a little retro game section. But it was one of those that had glass cabinets and they just stacked them full of whatever they could get hold of. So they had the usual classics of, series of Xbox, PlayStation 2 games, a moderate selection of SNES, NES, some other cartridges, and then just all the action figures and sort of cult paraphernalia that you could want. I almost walked out of there with some Ghostbusters slime. I can remember my brother and I just really coveting Ghostbusters slime when we were younger, and it's like, it's amazing. Like we got some, and I think we used it so much in the space of 2 days it dried out. So I almost just went back to being like 8 years old.
I think I had some of that stuff, but all I can remember was it just got covered in fluff within like 2 seconds. Like you took it out of the packet, and that's it, boom, instantly covered in fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Matt had the Ghostbusters firehouse as well, and that specifically had grates through the top and then each one of the floors, so you could put your figures at the bottom and then drip this ectoplasm from the top. And yeah, after about 4 or 5 of those as well, like the bits that you'd lose trying to re-scrape them back into the packet, it's
yeah.
I don't think it was great value for money, but we had a really good weekend with that.
Are you finding that the price of retro stuff is just gradually creeping up and up and up? Because every time I go to the shops now, those types of shops anyway, I find that the prices are just going through the roof.
Yeah, but because it was interesting to see what this place was rated on, sort of like TripAdvisor or Google, but the usual sort of like star rating when you Google a shop, and it was actually quite low because a lot of people said, "Oh, it's a rip-off, it's high prices." I don't think it was necessarily high prices. I think it's more that just the market's going that way. So yeah, they were steep, but they were no worse than eBay prices from what I saw.
Yeah, it's shocking. I need to go through a lot of my stuff and just look at the prices because I'm sure I've got tons and tons of stuff here. Just looking around the room now, it's probably worth a lot. But then, do you want to get rid of it? Probably not.
But this is why I've sort of doubled down just on the NES because I'm sure, just like you, like I used to have every console. Once I left university and had a bit of a disposable income, I just toured the car boots, and I don't think eBay had quite got into its stride as much at that point, but I was Mega CDs, Saturns, Jaguars. I just wanted to try and get everything, and after a while I looked around, and especially when you move house for the first time, you think this is a bit much, and so just like at least streamlining and focusing on the NES, I feel like there's some passion there that I want to keep, and so I don't tend to have too much of a clear out when it comes to the NES. That probably proved by the fact I have about 7 of them and about 30 controllers stuck in a drawer. But.
Indeed. I was shocked. Faye's brother went into CEX, I think about 2 weeks ago, and bought himself a copy of Spyro the Dragon, and it cost him 20 quid. 20 quid.
What?
So even PS1 games now are starting to just rock it up, and apparently that was relatively cheap. So it's crazy.
I guess it's like limited demand, isn't it? Because a lot of the NES games I'm picking up are probably around 30 quid at this point in time, and I'm probably I've got through the cheap batch. Everyone can pick up a copy of Solar Jetman, should they so wish, and they should. But I'm not going to go for the £200 copies, but just picking up one every now and again, just to pad out the collection. I'm not quite as obsessive as I used to be, but.
So how many holes do you have left on that spreadsheet? So you have the complete collection. Are you close?
I think I've still got about 100 left, but out of maybe that's 100 global. I'll have to check. I think it's somewhere between 75 and 100, but I've got over 2/3.
That's impressive. That's really impressive. Yeah. Wow,
amazing,
fantastic, superb. So, Manny, how's your week been?
Yeah, really, really good. I've just come off the back of having 2 weeks off on holiday, so I'm a bit shell-shocked this week going back to work. But I think I'm holding up okay. I can still speak. I'm awake, so that's fine.
You look good. You look fine. You look okay.
Thanks,
you're
man.
not too. You're not.
Thanks. I'm breathing.
You're not fraught yet.
That's all I could hope for. No, it's been really good. Just having a bunch of time off and not doing a whole lot, to be honest. Playing a bunch of games. We did a 25-mile walk. A couple of weeks ago. It was only meant to be a 15-mile walk, but Faye's brother again sort of slightly miscalculated, and we ended up doing 20. And then we decided to top it off and just do 25. And my God, I have never been in that much pain in my entire life. I can recommend not doing that if you're not.
Was it pain at the time, or was it pain when you sat down afterwards and your body went no more?
Both. Definitely both. The last hour, I'm not kidding you, like every single part of me was just on fire. It was just appalling, and I was grumpy. I was miserable. It was shocking. When I did it, fantastic. When she finished it, brilliant. But yeah, the day after was okay. 2 days after, I could barely move. I'm not kidding. Like, I couldn't lift my leg up.
Wow.
Oh, it was awful, absolutely awful. So that was the thing that I did, and then in that 2 weeks, honestly, I just played a bunch of games and relaxed a lot, which was great. Went down to London as well to see my cousin. Went out in Brixton in a bar called the Dog Star, which I don't know if you've heard of. It's like a legendary London pub, which is great.
Right.
It's fantastic, but unfortunately, being a 90s kid, every time I hear the word Dog Star, I just think of Keanu Reeves. That's it. That's all I can think of. Every single time.
Do they have any Keanu merchandise around?
Unfortunately not, no, but they're missing a trick
trying
there
to distance themselves.
There's 3 floors. They should have a whole middle floor just dedicated,
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It could be like the kind of Bubba Gumps of kind of the Keanu Reeves kind of version of a Bubba Gumps. Because when you go to Bubba Gumps, that's just full of Forrest Gump stuff, and you always get asked the same questions. It's like, Nicola and I, we like going to Bubba Gumps. There's a thing called boat trash, which is lots of deep fried like lobster tail and stuff like that. So it's always nice, but you have to go through the questions. So it's almost like when they come up, we just want to go Jenny, buttocks, ice cream, and name the 2 presidents that you met, and they're like, go away.
There's a quiz. You have to answer a quiz to get food in this place.
Have you never been to a Bubba Gumps?
I've walked past a bunch of times, but no.
All right, so Bubba Gumps, you go there, and then when you sit down, I've got my Bubba Gumps glass here. So when you sit down, you kind of they come over. They're all really nice. They give you the menu, and they're always kind of really friendly. And we've had some real fun with these guys, and they kind of chat to you, and then they ask you some questions. They're like, right, have you all seen Forrest Gump? And you go, yes. And then they ask you a bunch of questions, so which are normally kind of, what wars did Forrest fight in? What's the best thing about getting shot in the buttocks? And things like that. They just ask you these questions. But we went there. We got Nicola and I got married in New York, and before we took a bunch of friends out to New York, and before we got married, the night before, we just said to the friends, we said, look, it's trashy, but we love it. We're all going to go to Bubba Gump's in Times Square. So we went to Bubba Gump's in Times Square, and we were just having so much fun with the waiters, so much so that one of the guys who came out, he actually had a crib sheet because he'd been watching Forrest Gump the night before, so he'd been ginning up on it before he got on the flight, and so we were actually asking them questions as well, and they kept going away and going, right, we'll get Steve. Steve's really good at questions, and he'd come over and give us really hard questions that we would just answer these questions, and then they'd walk away all disgruntled, and then come back again and ask us even more.
What happens if you get them wrong? Do you have to increase their tip? Do you not get food?
They just frown upon you and make you feel bad.
This doesn't sound like a good dining experience.
But it's just so much fun. But now, like I say, when it's just Nicola and I, we just know all the answers. So there's one in London now. There's one in Leicester Square. But I kind of like it with that kind of American kind of enthusiasm. They did it a little bit better kind of in the US than they did in London. But it's still good fun.
Cool.
And I highly recommend the cocktails and the boat trash.
Are you saying boat trash or boat rash? I can't tell.
No, boat trash.
Right. Okay. Got it. Yeah. That's much better.
So
Boat rash.
yeah,
I don't know what that is.
I think when we first had it, it had like deep fried mahi and like lobster tail and prawns and all that kind of lots of fries and stuff like that. It's really cool.
Very nice.
I've never had a dessert there. Never, because I'm always just too full or drunk.
Can you not be both? Is that not possible?
Yes, I think so. Yeah. So yes. So you had a good couple of weeks off there, Manny.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah. It was, just brilliant. Just to not be in work, to be honest, and just to relax and chill. I didn't actually play a load of games though. Weirdly, I don't know if you guys are the same in January, but I just tend to kind of detox a little bit. I pick at things. I play smaller games, but I don't want to step into anything big. I don't want to start anything massive. So I tend to sort of just pick my way through little bits of stuff here and there.
Yeah, I always try and find it's like a time to either finish up stuff that I've played before Christmas, or just try and get around, as you say, to like the smaller bits that I might have missed because of the AAAs on the run up. So
yeah, same.
Yeah, because I think I've picked Assassin's Creed since Christmas, but everything else I've tried to play as Jeff being more like in the the £10-15 range.
Yeah, no, it's just a nice time, isn't it? Just to kind of jump in. I mean, it's slightly different for me this year because we were away at Christmas. I'm playing Assassin's Creed, so I kind of embarked on a big game. But yeah, I totally agree. Normally, it's time to kind of mop up some indies or some freebies that maybe you've missed throughout the year. The Games of Gold or the PS Plus or stuff like that.
Yes, yeah. It's a period of discovery.
Indeed.
Yeah. So how's your week been, Antony? Have you been up to much?
Yeah, no, not too bad. We did went to see a movie. We went to see the 3 Billboards. I think I was hinting at it last week. We went to see 3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, which was a fantastic movie. It was a fantastic film, and I just really enjoyed it. You've seen it as well, haven't you, Manny?
I have, yeah. I'm a big fan of In Bruges, which is the first film from the director and writer of this. And I think this one is really, really close to it. It's not quite as good as that film, but it's very, very, very close.
Yes.
And yeah, everybody in it was just fantastic. The thing I love about his films are just the dialogue is so it's just so scabrous, but it's got real heart to it as well. So it's not just like it's not just being angsty and edgy just for the sake of it. There's a real heart to the film under it, which I think is a great combo for me.
Absolutely. I think kind of like the kind of feeling going throughout the whole film was like a feeling of forgiveness, and it was just a really, like I say, the performances were amazing. I just sat there, just enjoyed the movie, and then when it finished, Nicola and I went for a Five Guys, and we were just chatting, just to write a movie like that, or to just kind of come up with that idea, because I thought, and I think I said it last week, I thought it was a true story, but I don't think it is. It's not based on a true story. It might be based on events, but it's not based on a true story. But,
yeah, I did hear you say that in last week's podcast, and I was like, I'm not so
I'm
sure.
Not sure if it is. Corrections.
Yeah. I probably should have written in. No, I thought, what's his name? Sam Rockwell. I thought was just fantastic in it. He's so good because he's really hit and miss for me. He's either really good or he's terrible. But this was the best thing I've seen him in, I think.
Yes, yeah, no, I think he's fantastic. He's amazing in Iron Man 2. We watched that the other day on our build-up to Infinity War, and he's just amazing in that. He's just such a slime ball, but just so awkwardly kind of wants to be Tony Stark. But his performance in this, and he's been nominated for an Oscar now, hasn't he, as well? They had the...
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. Everybody was brilliant, though. Dinklage as well. Dinklage was amazing in that film.
Dinklage was so good. He was just, when he popped up, I was like, and then I kind of then had the Game of Thrones in my head, but I was like, but it was just absolutely superb. I thought it was such an amazing movie.
Yeah.
Cool. So. It's definitely on my list of things to watch. I think that and Darkest Hour on my current hit list. But
right.
We went for something lighter at the weekend. We actually watched Jumanji. I know that was out over Christmas. But,
yes.
It's so good.
I'm really surprised. I went in with such low expectations of what Jumanji would be, because bizarrely before Christmas, Ali and I watched the original Jumanji whilst putting up the Christmas tree. Nice festive film.
Yes.
And it holds up surprisingly well. I mean, the CG monkeys possibly look like they've been just like stuck on top of the picture right now, but the actual film itself is really good fun. So, but yeah, I don't know whether it's just like a combination of The Rock, and for once it's a film I don't hate Jack Black in, but it just didn't take itself seriously at all, and I think it was so much the better for that.
Yes.
Yeah, totally. I think they definitely did the thing where they threw in a load of adult humour as well. So it wasn't just for the kids. A bunch of the jokes in there they would not get at all, and they were funny as hell.
Yeah,
I can't repeat any of them because they're actually quite adult. But yeah, it was really, really good.
That's just so cool. I think the other movie I watched on Sunday, we had a bit of a quiet one on Sunday. The other movie I watched was on Netflix, Godzilla. So they've created an anime Godzilla. It's a two-parter. I think it was out in the cinema in Japan this week, but we got it Netflix kind of part. It's a Netflix studio production, and it was. I really enjoyed it. I just sat there for like 2 hours just so it disappeared, and it was absolutely superb. So it's a pretty, really well drawn. It was a HDR, which kind of really made. I haven't seen like a anime hand drawn CGI movie in HDR yet, and that was just like it just looks stunning. There were some really good pieces. Godzilla moves quite slowly in it because he's so big and hulking, but it was absolutely superb. It was really cool. Good movie.
Did you watch the Castlevania series that Netflix did, which was a similar sort of hand-drawn thing? But because that was way, way, way better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, really?
Really good. Yeah, I think it might be the same studio that's done this, but yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Superb.
Yeah. Really, really smooth, but yeah, the colours and those things and the resolution just makes animation look superb nowadays. I think
it really does. I instantly was like, I want Studio Ghibli movies in HDR, in 4K HDR, because it was just gorgeous. Just sitting there, just watching it, and I was very impressed. But I did start looking down kind of for other anime that was in HDR or 4K, because I just think it's fantastic. There's a new Batman movie coming out on iTunes next week called Gotham by Gaslight.
Mark, it's 19 minutes. We've got a Batman. Not bad.
See, there you go. But this is different. This is different. This is Gotham by Gaslight, and it's adapted by a story by Mike Mignola, who did Hellboy. So it was a graphic novel, and it's basically Batman in the time of the Jack the Ripper, so in London, and it's just. Is it
like a steampunk Batman then, or something for
kind of, yes, but it's really good. It's really good. It was a really great graphic novel, and now it's been made into an animated movie.
That actually sounds pretty cool. I would actually watch that for sure.
I
would. I absolutely would.
I'm completely distracted by the Time to Batman series.
I'll just mark that down. What are we on? 19 minutes.
Sweepstake.
Whoever's on next week, goad him into it earlier. We'll get a book going.
Yeah. Get a bingo thing going. Right. So what have you guys been playing? James, what have you been playing?
Always going back to what we were mentioning earlier about tidying up a few of the smaller games, and I actually bought before Christmas Gorogoa, and I'm actually not quite sure how you actually say this, because this is a game with no speaking, but Gorogoa. This is something that I think I played at EGX or something a good 3-4 years ago.
Right.
But it's a puzzle game that is quite hard to describe because it is so visual, but You start with just a frame, like a small square on the screen, and a boy looks out of a window across a cityscape, and it's all hand-drawn, and it's all very colourful and beautiful. And there's some sort of colourful dragon that goes across the mid-distance. And from that point forward, you've got to try and get the boy to collect some fruit to go and meet the dragon. But it's this weird drag-and-drop point-and-click sort of adventure, because you take the frame and you can drag it, and there might be something underneath. You might be able to separate the two scenes completely. So if the boy is at a window, you might be able to drag the window off and leave the boy in the room itself. That gives you a window to play with. And then it becomes two separate scenes where the window might be able to zoom out to a city, and you might be able to, in the other frame, make the boy go to the left to see a different room. And it's this weird, branching, multi-layered puzzle that is just... It's really. I honestly think that most people should go and seek this out, because it is just a wondrous, beautiful thing to play. I mean, the actual puzzling itself can be slightly obtuse, because you are trying to operate on so many different layers, because you can have 4 frames at max. And so trying to figure out which scene in each of these... Well, each part of the scene of each of these 4 frames you need to be in to help solve the puzzle. Because you might need to put it so that 2 of them look like creates a level so the boy could walk across with. Or it might be that you have to drop a new door from another scene over the boy that he'll then open. So it's never always intuitive, but it's worth sticking with it, because it comes up with some fantastic puzzles about how it messes with the concept of space and I guess just dimensions and scale. And just when you have to drag all these windows apart, get them to new places, and then pull them all back together to become a whole, it's just magical how this designer came up with the concepts of this interweaving web. It's just fabulous. It can be obtuse, but equally it can be fabulous at the same time. I don't know have you guys seen anything of this?
I've seen some footage of it, and yeah, I was wondering if you were going to talk about it, because I was like, I didn't know how you're going to actually describe it, because it's impossible until you see the way it works. But yeah, it's almost like a really sort of abstract Escher kind of puzzle, isn't it? But with not the same style. It's not like the steps and the geometry and stuff. It is, like you say, it's like paintings and scenes and things that you move around. It looks fantastic. Yeah, I really need to dig into that, I think.
Yeah, I got it on the Switch, and it works in handheld mode with the touchscreen and on the TV with a joypad, so I never played it on the TV. But it was a nice one to polish off on the train going back and forth to Manchester. So, I recommend if people have got patience and like pretty games to check that one out.
Do you know if it's out on iPad by any chance? Because it seems like that might be the perfect place for it.
I think so. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it came out on iPad like a year ago or something.
Yeah. Okay.
It looks amazing. The hand-drawn animation looks fantastic. I just had while you were talking about it, I just had a quick Google, and it looks incredible. And I was wondering why they kept showing it as 4 images on the screen, and I guess that's why, because that's what you're saying. You have to then overlay those images, and it's just really interesting.
And they keep messing with what is possible, I guess. Like some frames almost like drag around and you can see a larger picture behind them, but can only ever focus on one bit at a time. Some you can go in and out of. I think it took so long because all of the game was hand animated by I think 1, maybe 2 people. So this is a proper labour of love. Gorogoa.
I can confirm it's on the iPad. It's $4.99 on the iPad. I just had a quick look I had my iPad right next to me. Had a quick look in the App Store. What was it on Switch?
add the usual £10 of Switch tax, and you have your number.
Switch tax. Cool, awesome.
The other one I was playing actually only came out, I think it was last week, and it's Full Metal Furies. A couple of years ago, I really got into Rogue Legacy by Celador Games, and I think it was one of the maybe the first or second Gamescoms that we went to, Manny. Yeah. And I can remember just like every time we got back to the hotel room, I pretty much just flopped on the bed, got the Vita out, and started playing Rogue Legacy till
that was the whole 4 days. Pretty much was that game every day. New stories about it.
It was just glorious. And at the same time, Matt was playing it back at home, and I think we were trying to beat each other to the end boss or so, and I absolutely adored that game. And so as soon as Full Metal Furies came out, I sort of snagged that. It's a bit different. Whereas Rogue Legacy was a platformer through a medieval castle, This is like a top-down shooter where you are 4 female warriors taking on the Titans who are warring over the Earth. So it's a bit of a different twist, but it's got some of the same core values to it, because there was this really nice upgrade path within Rogue Legacy that rewarded you, I guess, mining gold to get new abilities. And it's the same with Full Metal Furies, where you have to go and kill enemies to get gold, and that can buy you new abilities. So progression is this nice little sort of back and forth, where it's a tiny bit grindy to begin with, but you get rewarded either by just being good at the game because you get more gold and get further than that, or you get rewarded for replaying over and over again for getting the gold and then buying new abilities itself. And it just has this really nice depth to it. Like with the combination of skills and the combination of 4 different warriors that you can take into battle. So you can do the usual of mix up the sniper with the melee expert, and then swap out all their tools, so you can have like a flaming hammer or maybe an explosive sniper bullet that like knocks back everyone that it hits. But yeah, I'm only a couple of hours in, so sort of starting to scratch the surface, but I can feel it getting its hooks into me. Like there seems a lot of repeated levels, I think, to try and get the most out of it, but it's got the same sort of humour, same sort of pixel art style that I really adored within Rogue Legacy. So yeah, going to give this a lot more time over the next couple of weeks.
Just looking at some of the footage now, is it co-op by any chance, or is it?
Oh yeah,
single
yeah,
player?
it is.
Okay.
So you can. It's like 4-player co-op, local and over Xbox Live.
Yeah.
I
really like the art style. It's nice, because a lot of pixel art stuff looks really similar, but there's actually got a style to it. It's quite nice.
Yeah, I think it's the animations in this one. They've got a lot of character, a lot of bob, and then the writing, the humour they inject into it as well, I think helps round off that sort of character to it all. But
cool.
they do well, because each of the characters feels very different. It could have just been a point in this direction, twin stick shooter type thing, whereas. They split up the abilities, so you've probably got like a literal tank where she just puts down a massive shield in front of her and can just walk into it and slap people occasionally. Then you've got the hammer gal who sort of like jumps up high and can smash down. The sniper who has to have some time from afar and really line up pencil her sniper tracer, and then just a general engineer that's got a bit of a shotgun. So each of them feel decent enough that if you struggle on a level, you want to go back and maybe try a new character and see how they feel. But
cool.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far.
Which platform did you buy on? Sorry, Antony.
On Xbox. On Xbox.
Okay.
So you don't switch out your characters kind of mid-level. It's not. You
if
pick one going in, or
if you're playing solo, you take 2 characters in, and then you can swap between them on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're playing the full co-op, I think you just take as many as you want. Into it. So
awesome.
So yeah. I know Matt's got it already, so I'm going to try and angle some time with him at some point.
Yeah.
Fantastic, superb. What about you, Manny? What have you been playing the last couple of weeks?
Well, like I said, because it's January, I'm kind of in skimming the surface mode of stuff. So I've been playing. I've just been sort of dipping into bits and bobs here. I tried the first hour of Mass Effect. I don't know if I'm going to go back to that.
Andromeda.
It's just as bad as people said it was going to be.
Was that on EA Access?
So
was that EA Access that you got that from? Yeah.
I love that series so much. I've got all the games. I've read all the books. For God's sake, I absolutely love it. But oh my God, it's so bad. The dialogue is terrible. It looks awful. It still plays really badly now, even though they must have patched it about 17 times. Anyway,
wow.
Yeah, so that one didn't stick. So I've been playing a few smaller bits and bobs here and there, sort of catching up on things from last year. I played Edith Finch. We don't need to probably dwell on that too much, because I think you guys have talked about it a fair amount.
I think we really like it. So
yes.
So it's safe to say I really liked it. I like that it was just super short and it didn't overstay its welcome at all. Mm-hmm. It said everything it needed to and just stopped, which was fantastic. And I'll say the 2 chapters that I loved were the cannery, which I think is everybody's favourite, pretty much.
Yes.
And also the bath sequence, which was just bizarre and not something I've ever done before in my life. And I thought it was just a beautiful sequence, you know.
Yeah. There was always a touch of melancholy about it, but that one there was a bit of wonder as well. Like this is an interesting perspective.
Absolutely, yeah. It's horrible, but yeah, same. I also played a game called Oxenfree. I don't know if you guys have played it or heard of it at all.
I think I keep getting this confused with Outcast.
Okay.
This isn't a horror, because I haven't played either, but people have recommended both.
Okay.
This is not the horror game, is it?
It sort of is a horror game, but not really. So it's a 2D adventure game with a little bit of depth to it, which is sort of the setting is that you're sort of 5 friends going to this island because it's the end of the school year and you're all going to go and have a party. You turn up, there's no one there, and of course mysterious things happen and you get split up, and then it's about sort of piecing together what the story is, but it's basically about sort of these friends wandering around an island just having talks about the school year, tons and tons of dialogue in the sort of 4 or 5 hours that it takes you to finish it. And there are some horror elements to it, so that's probably why that you're getting it confused.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a very, very, very different game. It's really good. The dialogue is really, really well written, so you kind of believe the dialogue between this sort of group of friends. And they do a really, really interesting thing with the dialogue selection sort of tool that you've got on the screen. So what happens is that you'll have someone talking to you, and then you get sort of 3 different responses that pop up on the screen, and they'll pop up straight away as soon as that person starts talking. So you can work out what you want to say whilst the person is talking, select it, and then the conversation just flows naturally on like that, which is really good. But they also take it a step further, because some of the responses, obviously, if you're having a fight with someone or something, or something like that, you might want to shout something at them. So if you choose that, it'll just interject it straight away. So it flows like a natural conversation where you're not waiting for the next person to finish. You can cut over them, and it's all really, really well done. I'm moving my arms around, I don't know why. But so I would recommend playing it. I think it was on Games with Gold about 3 or 4 months ago, so you may well have it in your catalogue sat there somewhere.
Someone told me it's very cheap on the Switch at the moment as well. I don't know if there's a sale going on. I think someone said it was like $3.99.
Yeah, it's a perfect Switch game for sure. It'd take you about 4 or 5 hours, but the story's really good, the dialogue's excellent. So, and then I played Night in the Woods as well, which is a similar game to that. I don't know if you guys have played it at all after last year's ravings about it, but
I think after talking to you, I think I'm halfway through at that, where the mystery and the intrigue has sort of started kicking in.
Yeah, that's right. It's a weird game because I really, really want to like it, but it kind of left me a little bit cold towards the end. Very, very similar premise to Oxenfree, actually, where it's about a group of kids. Well, sorry, it's not about. Well, it is about a group of kids, but it's about one person coming back from college to this small town, and just sort of meeting up with a group of friends again, trying to figure out what's been going on with them. And so the sort of meat of the story is figuring out what happened to this girl in college, and all that sort of stuff, mixed in with a whole bunch of sort of mystery and things that are going on in the town. The dialogue is superb. I don't know if you feel the same. It feels very, very natural. Just talking. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, you're just talking to your mum, talking to your parents, and it's got this nice sort of switch when you then talk to your friends as well. It's quite contextual, but again, very natural. It doesn't feel like they're trying to write to a type. It just seems to come easily from May, the protagonist.
That's right. Yeah. So all of that is great. I love that part of it. Just chatting to your friends and going through some of the sequences that they take you through is fantastic. But again, it does. I'm not going to spoil anything cheap, but it takes a turn towards the end where they sort of go into not the fantastical, but the story takes a turn that I didn't buy into at all. So that kind of undercut the whole thing for me, because they took it off in a way that I thought was just not right for those characters at all. Which is a huge shame. That being said, it does deal with a lot of really interesting, like quite heavy themes throughout the latter half, and they do it really, really well in a very, very, very sensitive way, actually. So it's kind of worth playing. And again, you have to talk around it because spoilers.
Yeah. Well, even halfway through, I think some of the topics they are trying to touch upon about the reality of, I guess this is more American focused, given what college fees are over there. They touch upon very subtly early on, like their kid is. Well, it's she drops out of college. This is the very early thing that you find out, and there's some, you can sense where I am in the story. There is a touch of resentment, I guess, or bitterness in the parents, and just seeing that start to brew, I think is very interesting. Because to begin with, it was like, "Oh, you're back! Oh, cool! Hi, what happened? Okay, we can talk later." But we're almost past that stage now, and reality appears to be starting to come home. Yeah. And I honestly, I just fell off it the other week, but I do need to go back and finish it, especially if I'm halfway through. It hasn't been that long since.
Yeah, you can get through it in about maybe 6 or 7 hours. I'd say possibly 8. It is a little bit too long, I think, for what it wants to do.
Yeah, I need to stop exploring every corner, which is half the problem.
Yeah, for sure. It's weird because it's obviously a 2D, well, sort of faux 2D game, isn't it? But it's got platform sequences in as well. So every night this character May goes to sleep, and then it sort of puts you into this dream sequence where you have to complete platform sequences, and I don't really like those at all. I don't like the way.
Wow,
it
that
plays.
sounds so
Everything's
different to the
open.
rest of the game. It just sounds like it really kind
is.
of.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's supposed to be something deeper. Like this is supposed to show the inner demons of May, and this giant thing that she meets must mean something.
Mm-hmm.
Does it? Does it? I mean, they try and encourage you to do it in the main like town itself, because there's like stairs that can get you up to the telegraph poles, and you can go jumping around the telegraph poles to reach rooftops and meet your old science professor who will show you the stars in the sky. And I think it's a really nice way of adding verticality to a level that could have been very flat. It's a really nice way of adding a certain amount of exploration and condensing, I guess, the world into, so you don't have to go to that many screens but still keep this 2D aspect. But
yeah,
it does seem weird.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't quite fit. I really love the art style as well. That's stunning. I think absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the animations they put in May, I think, are just so fluid and nice. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's that. The only thing I've played is a little bit of Uncharted Lost Legacy. I know you wouldn't have played it cheap, but have you played it at all, Tony?
I have indeed. Yeah, I've been playing it. I've got to the part where there's these ginormous doors, and you kind of go through that, and it kind of almost feels like it's taking you to a very climactic kind of end sequence, and I haven't gone back to it because my PlayStation is unplugged at the moment. But yeah, so how far have you got into it?
I've just gotten through the sort of big open world bit,
right.
So I'm just on the other side of that, which I thought that bit was stunning, to be honest. And yeah, that was weird, going from these tiny little games to that.
Yes.
It's like, oh my god, you can feel the millions of dollars that's been pumped into that thing. Honestly, it's just stark.
It looks stunning, doesn't it? Because you're playing on the PS4 Pro, aren't you?
I am playing on Pro, yeah. It looks stunning, but the thing I love about it the most is there's a dialogue between those two characters, between Chloe and Nadine. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. There's a real sort of chemistry between them, I think.
It just starts out of nowhere as well, doesn't it? It just starts out of nowhere. They're just driving, and then suddenly they'll just start talking to each other, and they'll start ribbing and jiving on Nate. It's like, I can't believe you dated that guy, that sort of stuff. And it's really interesting.
You can tell they're doing that performance capture thing that Naughty Dog do, where they've got both the actors in the same room and they're actually playing against each other. Like, it's people acting in a room, which shockingly works really well for storytelling. But it's the way they sort of feed that into the gameplay as well, which is just, I'd totally forgotten how good they were at that. And yeah, that game is an absolute marvel, I think.
So have you finished that? Have you did you go through all of it, or are you still...
No, as I said, I'm just past the open world section, so I've just done where you sort of climb to the top of a mountain again. No spoilers there. I'm just coming to the end of that sequence.
Yes, I thought there was, like you say, in that big open world, I thought there were some really good puzzles around there. There were some parts where you just shoot up and kill everyone, but there were some really good puzzles as well. Some really good kind of lever pulling and kind of those kind of very uncharted puzzles. But I really enjoyed them.
It's one of the best Tomb Raider games that I've played. I can tell you that much for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely, but I've been dying to go back to the PlayStation because I think I messaged you guys. I got that controller that I was talking about last week turned up. So my Onyx wireless controller. So I really want to kind of go back and play that with it because it really does. It feels so much like a Nintendo Pro controller. It feels like an Xbox controller. It's just really nice. And I never normally kind of get on with the DualShock. There's something about the DualShock. The line of the thumbsticks doesn't kind of work with it. I'm always like cracking my thumbs after playing some PlayStation, so that sometimes puts me off. So this new controller, I want to give it its kind of Uncharted playtest.
And it doesn't feel cheap, doesn't feel plasticky, because it looks like it could go one of two ways. That thing, I think, for me.
It doesn't feel plasticky. It feels very good. It feels very solid. It's got a nice weight to it. Like I say, it's not as good as a Xbox Elite controller by a mile, but it's better than the Pro controller. So if you kind of imagine a scale where Pro controller is kind of one end and the Xbox Elite's the other, and that's the Onyx wireless controller. But it feels really nice. It feels really nice. I've got Marvel vs. Capcom, so I want to try out the D-pad on that as well to see if I can and kind of do my fireballs and stuff. So I want to give that a whirl to really kind of put it through its paces. But it feels robust.
Cool.
So awesome. So are you going to go back to Uncharted? You're going to continue and just kind of finish it up, or are you just like, I've just had a bit and that's it, I'm done?
No, I'm definitely going to finish that. That'll be the thing that I finish this week, hopefully, and then after that, I have no idea what I'm going to play.
Wow.
Definitely not Mass Effect, but that's the only thing I know.
Monster Hunter's out tomorrow.
Yeah, is anyone else tempted by Monster? I'm on the fence. Right
on the monster fence.
I think I'd go for it if a group of us got it and we could do co-op. I think I'd go for it. But
mine is on its way from. I think it is. I think mine's on its way from Boomerang. I've rented mine from Boomerang.
Nice.
So I've got so mine's on its way. I think it arrives tomorrow.
Yeah, my weekend filled up quickly. So if I had a free Saturday, I'd have probably bought it and just sat in my pajamas and played it all day. But
yeah.
Now I'm missing that window. I'll have to get the review from you next week then, Antony.
Yeah, I think Sunday's my kind of pajama gaming day, because we're out Saturday going for a meal in the evening, but I think Sunday is just like I'll be jumping in between that and obviously the Sea of Thieves beta as well, kind of jumping in between the two of those. So I'll be mixing it up between the two of those.
Oh, interesting. Sea of Thieves, you say? Tell us about this
game. Yeah, it's just this game that I've been playing, this really weird game. Actually, kind of, there you go, nice segue into what I've been playing. So what I've been playing this week.
It's not a segue if you call it out!
I tried my best.
Oh, I can't help but just I'm so pleased when it happens that I have to go, I've done a segue. So anyway, I've been playing Sea of Thieves. James may know a little bit about that, but the beta kicked off yesterday, so it was really cool. So I jumped in last night to kind of just check it out. Nicola and I we took a two-man ship out on the high seas, and we just had a great fun. It was really good fun. It was just, we sat there and Nicola had never played it before. She'd seen me play it, I think, when we were playing the closed alpha or technical alpha, so she saw us kind of playing it, but she'd never really kind of got into it. I think she may have seen the stream where you were screaming, James. I showed her that. I was like, look at this, James shouts, and it's really funny. So it was her first time kind of hands-on, so I took her through all the controls. I was like, here, this is how you get this wheel up, this is how you get that. And I was just telling you guys before we started podding, we kind of went out on the high seas, but we hadn't started our first quest. So Nicola's like, well, what do we do? And I'm like, well, let's just go to an island and dig, and we'll go over there. I'm sure we should have a map. There was that little bit of confusion. And then we went back
and go to an island and dig.
Yeah, that's it. This is all James has been working on for like years. It's just
my eyebrows are raising as high as they can go.
Just go and dig.
Can we reach the centre of the earth?
And then the coolest thing was, I don't know what she was expecting. I went, do me a favour. I said, go up to the end of that cannon and press Y. So she pressed Y. She was like, I'm inside a cannon. And I was like, no, you're not. And then just shot her out straight into a rock face. And she was like... So she was not happy about that at all. So I then joined on the island. We looked around and we was just like really enjoying it. The sun was coming up. It was really nice because I was doing that comparison because the game looks stunning. The game is gorgeous in 4K HDR. It's just absolutely superb on the big TV. But I was comparing it with the 1080p Xbox One X as well, and it's just on both of them. It just looks like a gorgeous, stunning, beautiful game. So we were having that bit of a comparison, and so we went back to the quest giver. We picked up our first quest and then off we went, and that was just great fun, and we were really enjoying it. And we did the first quest, and Nicola found where it was, and she loved that part of just firing up the map, seeing that there was an X. There wasn't like a dotted line or anything like that. I think because of my poor navigational skills, she was kind of wanting maybe a dotted line to where she should be, like setting a waypoint on the map, because I was going, go left, and it was just that I was letting the team down. And so we got to the first island where the X was. We did that. We dug up our chest, and that was quite a really cool moment. We had a little bit of a high five. We were quite excited. Went back, traded that in, got the next one. But the problem was, after the next one, we then saw another ship on the horizon. So we started to try and hide, so we turned off our lantern, and then we just kind of, just be quiet, don't say anything, because they might hear us, all this sort of stuff. And we just kept quiet. But these guys they noticed us, and they just came straight into us and just rammed us.
Was it another small ship, or was it a galleon?
It was a galleon. There was four. So they just just took us out, and we died. So we then went to the kind of place where you wait to respawn, and then we went through the hole, and our ship was sinking, and they were all just waiting there. And the moment we respawned, they just killed us again. And then they just kept doing this until our ship had sunk, and then we went back and got another ship, and then tried it again. And it was just so much fun because the second quest was then a two-parter, so you then had to then go and kind of like solve puzzles, and it was just so. And then we ran out of time, but we definitely want to play more of that. But I want to do some kind of some streaming and maybe some kind of bigger kind of 4-player as well. But it was just, I loved it. It's absolutely superb.
I don't know, despite having played it for like a good couple of years now, I still find the tension when you have about 3, 4, 5 chests on your ship and you see another ship in the distance.
Yes.
And it's just please be friendly. Please be friendly. I need to get these back to port because they could just end up at the bottom of the ocean or just on board their ship sailing the other way.
When I did the beta, when we did the beta a couple of months ago, I can't remember actually getting a chest back. What sort of loot is in those things? Just out of curiosity, I can't remember.
It's treasure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So I just loved it because it seems like from when we were playing the beta to this, or when we were playing the alpha to the beta, there's just so much more now as well. There is a shop where you can buy different clothes, different items. There just seems more stuff. Yeah, so you're now personalizing your pirate as well, and I really like that, and it was just so cool. But there was a chest, and I won't spoil it because there was a chest that you picked up, and then if you put it down, something happens, and then we didn't know that until and it was just this kind of what is happening moment, and it was just so much funny. And the funny thing at the moment, and I shouldn't laugh, but Nicola's kind of lost her voice. She's got a bit of a chest infection, so she's kind of sounding like a squeaky Pixar character, like shouting at me because the boat is sinking and it's all my fault. And it was just, honestly, I love this game. This game is just so fun, and it's just and it's one that really surprised me because Nicola has really kind of taken to it, so much so that she asked to play some more. So she's really kind of taken to it. So it kind of bodes well that we'll be this 2-man kind of, or 2-person badass pirating team when the game comes out in March, I think.
Cool. We have Nicola's seal of approval.
We do indeed.
Get it on the box.
Yeah. Yes. Dookie Pie likes this game. Likes it almost as much as Pie. That's what you should put. And then... Sorry, go on, James.
I guess it was really weird because we're recording this now Thursday, and the beta launched yesterday. It was a really weird but awesome sensation, just like watching how everyone just received it. Because any time you put something out, you just have this sort of like, please like it, please like it, please like it. And so we were there as soon as the midday hit. There were Twitch and Mixer screens up all around the office, just trying to find out who was streaming it, what they were doing, how they were getting on. Just, I guess, half watching it for sort of user feedback, half watching it going just like, please say nice things. We've put our heart and soul into this. But just to see what the impact it had yesterday, I think we were just hoping that it would get streamed a little bit, but for it to reach like number 1 on Twitch, I think overnight, like we were just blown away by it. So yeah, the spirits are high in the office right now, but still a couple of months to go, so still a lot of hard work to do.
But also Mixer, it was number 1 by lunchtime yesterday. I kind of had a quick, and I've never done this before, where I kind of fired up my Xbox just to watch a Mixer, just watch someone streaming whilst I was having lunch, and it was just really good just to sit there and watch someone play it. This is something that I've never done, but it was actually quite nice just to kind of sit back and just watch someone play it, and I really enjoyed it. And then right then it was like there was about 1,500 people. This was at 12:30, so you'd only just gone live. There was about 1,500 people streaming. There was 1,500 different streams. And I was just like, wow, that is just really impressive.
That's got to be so gratifying when you see those numbers pop in, because you must have been thinking like, please just be 10, just be 10.
Yeah. Honestly, I think if charted on like Twitch's front page, would have been happy. But to get like over 200,000 and for beat League of Legends and PUBG, it's just like this is better than we ever could have imagined.
Yes.
I think a load of people around the studio are going just like, my favourite streamer that I've watched for years is like playing our game.
Wow.
It's rewarding on so many levels.
Yes, indeed. And I do love the competition that you've got. I think by the time we post this, will probably be Saturday. You've probably got a couple of days, but there's a competition going on at the moment on Sea of Thieves forums or seaofthieves.com where you can design an achievement.
Yes.
I like that.
And please be nice, because I might be the poor sod that has to program the other end of it. So, not even joking. That's what I was doing today. I was doing achievement work today.
Are there any rules you've got to stick to, or is it literally just design something, anything for us?
I will be lying if I said I could remember the full T's and C's, but I think it's literally what achievements would you want in the game.
So you can set the score. You can set the score, the amount of points, and things like that. You don't, as long as it mounts up to no more than 1,500, is it? Or
so each game can have 1,000 G,
right.
But it's I think they've relaxed the requirement, so you can have extra achievements every quarter or something like that.
Oh, okay.
You have a certain quota. So yeah.
That's so cool. That's really cool. So all you need to know, anyone who's listening, is that in order to win this competition, it just needs to be bunny related or cake related. It will get high on the charts.
Judge it, but yeah.
Or NES related. If you can get away with that, I'll be impressed.
Yes. That's it. Or screaming. Those kind of things would just be absolutely fine.
I can imagine there's several Four Feathers references knocking around already.
Yes, indeed. So in playing that, I also jumped into, while I was kind of in beta season, I also jumped into Metal Gear Survive. I saw it pop up on the dashboard on Sunday while we were just playing some games, and I quickly installed it and had a quick go of Metal Gear Survive. Have you guys seen it? Have you kind of seen what it is? And
no, I've never wanted to play a multiplayer Metal Gear. In the same way, I've never wanted to play a multiplayer Tomb Raider or Uncharted. It just doesn't seem to fit for me at all. So this is something I assume this exists for other people, but I'm yet to find out who those other people are.
Yes.
It might not be what you think it is, though, because it's basically a massive sandbox from what I've seen.
It's a massive sandbox crossed with Horde. So it's like a Horde mode. So you have a timed area. So you have an area that you go into. You can stealth around. There's some guys just kind of hanging around. They're all very weird, kind of almost zombies, but with something red sticking out of their head. And you want to kind of stealth around, and you can take them out by just kind of sneaking up to them. But you have a counter that's counting down. There's an area in the middle of the map that you need to protect, and that counter is counting down. You have time to find things, craft things. I think you can have up to 4 people, isn't it, Manny? You can have 4 people in a map or in a game, and then you're crafting your weapons, and then you can trigger the Horde. You can trigger Wave 1, and then you have to just defend that central point of all these kind of bonkers, really strange looking creatures.
Okay.
Yeah.
So is it definitely the kind of thing where you can get a team together, have a bit of co-op and put it together, or is it more like, can you feel you can work with strangers on this one?
I'm not sure if you'd be able to work with strangers, because I think if you were working with strangers off mic, you'd all be just doing your own thing. I think if you had a team of 4, if we kind of got together as a team of 4, I think you would be able to do something, have a blast with this game. But it doesn't feel, like you said before, like this kind of multiplayer kind of Metal Gear just feels weird, because I'm used to stealthing in Metal Gear, where this is a little bit stealthy, but then when that timer goes and when the wave starts, you then just have waves of enemies kind of coming at you, so you're just trying to take them out. So it's almost like when you're playing Metal Gear and you've been found, and then it all just goes crazy because the alarm's gone off. It's a bit like that, so it was weird. I wasn't quite sure. I kind of played it for probably about an hour and a bit, and died a few times, and then just kind of kept trying to restart the wave. And I kind of came away from that session was like, I don't think I'd buy it. I might rent it from Boomerang, but I think it's a bit like Ghost Recon Wildlands or something like that. It's dependent on who else you have. I think if we would have played Division on your own, that maybe wouldn't have been as good as when we all played it together. And I think that's kind of the same thing with kind of Metal Gear Survive.
Yeah, from the streams that I've watched on it does come across as like a sort of tower defense game almost, because you're setting up to these sort of lines and lines of traps, just trying to funnel all the zombies into one place, and then the 4 of you kind of take them on, trying to funnel them into one spot. It could be a lot of fun, I think, because they put a lot of really stupid stuff in there, because it's Metal Gear as well. So the traps are just ridiculous. There's tons of dumb stuff in there that could work, could be fun, I think.
Yes.
But you're right though, because I don't think I'd want to pay for it. If it was a free to play, maybe I think I would definitely be tempted to jump in, but I don't think I'd want to pay full price for that sort of game.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, it was just one of those ones where I was just not quite sure about it. Again, I'd rent it for Boomerang maybe for a weekend or something like that, but I think that's kind of as far. But like I say, a free-to-play model I think would be fantastic for a game like this. But it'd be interesting to see how it. Exactly. Yeah, that's another game that I've been toying with kind of jumping into, Fortnite, because the premise of that sounds really good. I quite like the idea of, kind of base building as well as fending off kind of hordes, or I think there's a battle royale mode as well, isn't there, which is a bit like PUBG. But then the main game you can kind of you build your forts, and then there's like waves of almost like it's a bit Left 4 Dead. It's a bit kind of fort building game. So I quite like the idea of that.
It looks really good. Thinking about it, I don't know if the main Fortnite game you might actually have to pay for that, because I think the free one was the Battlegrounds mode, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think. So I don't know if they've since made the main game free or not, but I'm not sure.
No, the main game's about £30.
Okay,
so it's about £30, and then the Battle Royale is free to play.
I think I'd rather probably play the Battle Royale. Just try that,
yes.
Because it seems like you get everything you get in the main game out of that experience anyway, just faster paced, I think.
And then the last game that I've been playing is we've got center code for The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. So The Vanishing of Ethan Carter came out on Xbox this week. I think it's been out on PlayStation and Windows probably about 3 years ago. I think this kind of came out kind of the same time as Gone Home originally came out.
I think it was a bit after, because I think we only started playing it on the PlayStation about a year ago, I want to say. But yeah, it has been out for a while, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I really like it. So it's out on Xbox One. It's 4K on Xbox One X, and it looks it. You kind of fire up this game and you instantly just want to start taking screenshots, as I did. You just instantly want to start taking screenshots because this thing just looks glorious on the Xbox One X, and it plays really well. So you're in a small town of Red Creek, Wisconsin, and you're this guy who's received a fan letter from Ethan Carter. So you go off to his hometown, and then when you get there, it all starts. There's all paranormal kind of events start to happen, and it's very interesting. So have you played it, James? Have you played?
I think we ended up playing about the first couple of hours, but oddly enough, we stopped because Ali felt really motion sick playing it. So maybe more pixels will help.
Yes, yeah, indeed, the extra 4Ks. But it's funny because it doesn't handhold you at all, does it? It's kind of like you're walking across this. It's not like, you need to do this, or there is a dotted line to this, or there's something. You get there, and I'm like, okay, what do I need to do now? And I really enjoyed that aspect. I've only kind of been playing it for maybe about 3 hours, but I'm just desperate to go back into it because it was really interesting. What I was playing was really interesting. You kind of go up to any object, and if there's something you're going to interact with, the words just kind of swim around that object, and then you have to keep moving until they align and steady, and then when you do that, you kind of see, it's almost like a third sense where you can just kind of suddenly see where that item may be. Like right at the start, you'll see a train, and it needs to be started. And the crank is missing. So you do that, and you can see that the crank is laying in some water by some rocks. And you just look over to the right, and you'll see there's a creek and some rocks. So you walk around to that. There's a dead body there, and you just keep going and keep investigating. But at no point does it say, right, here's point A, there's point B, there's point C. So I'm really enjoying it. It's definitely, my new kick of playing games with headphones is definitely needed on this, really listening to the sound, because this is just, it's amazing. The sound quality in this game is absolutely outstanding.
It's a first person game, isn't it? Or
it is, yeah. So it's a first person point and click, kind of walk 'em up. I guess all those words are kind of best to kind of describe it. Yeah. But it's just the story, just instantly the environment, and the kind of, you want to know what's happened, and it just instantly just grabs you. And that's what I like about these games, like Edith Finch, like Firewatch, all of those. I really have a connection with these games because I do kind of just instantly get drawn in and go, right, okay, I want to find out more about the story.
I think it's one of my favourite genres that have kicked up over the last few years as well, because I guess it's one that I can enjoy more with Ali recently as well, like the more narrative-driven games, and I'm finding them just a nice buffer between the larger or more, I guess, demanding games. Assassin's Creed Origins is a great one. I do really enjoy it, but it's nice just to sit back and have a slower paced adventure. Or I'm sure something like Wolfenstein, where it's all guns blazing quite literally, and just like, right, time for a bit of a time out, and again, just shift down the gears.
Yes, absolutely. It's quite interesting, actually, you say that about kind of playing with Ali, because Nicola, she was watching me play this, and she said that she wants to play those games, so she's noticed that I've been playing quite a lot of those kind of style games, and she was, I want to get into those story games. So I was thinking that maybe I should start her off with Firewatch, would be a good one, because that's kind of one of my favourites of... What else do you guys recommend?
Well, there's Gone Home, isn't there? That's probably the classic one that people would say. And then I guess some of the stuff that I've been playing, so Edith Finch or Night in the Woods might be good, or Oxenfree for sure. What was the one that came out last year that was meant to be really good that was set on a space station?
Tacoma.
Yeah, because I got that in the sales over Christmas, and it's on the to-do list.
That's a good idea, actually. That's a really good one. And then, because I was thinking about the one, the one that was a bit like The Archers that was on PS4.
Everyone's Gone to the Rapture.
Yes, I was wondering about that, but maybe that might be a little bit too stark to get into. But I think something like Firewatch would be a really good entry into it.
Yeah, I think it's relatively linear in a good way. So I don't think you can get too far off. Whereas something like Gone Home is very... I guess it has got a path, but it seems like you could get drawn off it and get a bit more frustrated with that. I think Firewatch has just got the lovely combination of writing, voice acting, and just the colour palette they chose is... excuse the pun, but it's warming, isn't it?
It is.
Just helps draw you into the characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if I said on the pod, but I bought an Ollie Moss print of Firewatch. We have it hanging in the spare bedroom now, and it's a gorgeous print. It's just the forest. It's at night, so it's very blues and purples, and it's just the forest. And in the middle of the forest, you can just see the Firewatch tower with the light on. And it's just so nice. So we had it framed. We took it to the shop, and it was really funny because when we took it to the shop, the guy was like, "I know that. That's from something I know." And I was like, "It's Firewatch," and he was like, "Oh yeah, that's it. I've been playing." And he was just playing that game, so he was like, "I didn't think I'd see it again. I think he was going, sorry, we lost it while we were framing." But it was just I bought it from Campo Santo's shop, and it was absolutely superb. It's lovely. So that's kind of what Nicola's good. She's very interested in that picture, so that's where I'm going to kind of draw her into that genre from there.
Did you do the thing where you can get the postcards sent to you of the photographs that you take in the game?
No, because I think that was only PC, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? I thought it was the console.
I'm sure it was the console as well, because it's pretty much uploaded somewhere. I think... Because that was the one where you only had 24 single shots, wasn't it? Like you couldn't delete,
Yes.
And if I say to you, we've all played it, haven't we?
Yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it for everyone. But you know what you
twice.
find at the bottom of the cave?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
We took a few pictures of that because we thought that you needed evidence, and so we thought, no, we're not gonna get these photos printed out. This would just be weird.
I took one picture of that, but I still got them printed out, and they were bloody amazing.
That's so cool. That's so cool. That's just amazing.
Such a great idea, though. Like, getting those sent to you through the post, like it was a packet of your own photos, like you're in the 90s or something. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
That'd be so cool. Your snaps, James, would be like that kind of weird couple that's been on the holiday, and then you turn up at Boots, and they're like, "It's them, it's that couple," and it's like, "Here's a dead body, here's a dead body." But no, it's just so cool. Oh, excellent stuff. So, right, should we jump into the news? And before we start the news,
I didn't know if that was rhetorical.
Yeah, I wasn't sure on that one. So
well, let's jump into the news. Don't forget, before we jump into the news, don't forget you can rate, review, and subscribe to this very podcast if you want to. It's just gone off on the rails and for free on iTunes and YouTube. So in the news section this week, we have some big release dates. Games Pass takes a step closer to the Netflix mode, and we also have the Games for Gold hot off the press, and Games for Gold for February. But James, the first piece of news, sir, is with you.
Yes, and it is that God of War will be coming out in April the 20th to be exact, and I think we pulled this out as one of the games we were most looking forward to in 2018. So the fact it's actually coming this early on actually surprised me. I thought for sure this is going to be like a late summer, maybe one of the blockbusters going into the Christmas period for Sony. But yeah, they released the date itself with a story trailer, and well, have you guys seen the story trailer?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
It's very much a case of Kratos looking after this young boy as they go through the snowy wilderness, and me wondering if Kratos ever gets cold, because He doesn't. That man doesn't want to wear a jumper. It's cold out, and he refuses to cover his nips. But it seems like a very this is going to be dramatic. This is there's some big things, and Kratos, will you tell him the secret? He needs to know. It seems it's almost just I don't know whether I'm enjoying it because it is just I hope this is all taken with a pinch of salt, because if this takes itself too seriously, I'd be almost quite disappointed. But if there's just this knowing bit of how overly dramatic they're being, I'm going to love it even more. For it.
Can you do me a massive favour and just redub that trailer in that voice that you just did?
Yes,
I would happily pay for that.
I was just thinking, I just want to live in James's head when he's watching these things, because it's awesome in there.
So that I think that comes out the same day as Nintendo Cardboard, though, as well, towards the end of April. So it's going to be an interesting. What do they call it in cinema? Counter programming, you release Star Wars and then some.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you get so riled up on God of War that you'll smash your Labo. You'll just
Are you both fans of that series? I'm guessing you're not much of a PlayStation man, are you, Sheep? So I'm guessing you might not have played them.
I played the first one, but nothing really since. And even then, my memories are very vague on it. So I had a couple of people in the office who absolutely adored it. So I think, when we were doing late nights for Viva Pinata, someone, when their build was going, was always on God of War 3 at the time, and so I saw a lot of it. I think this is me wanting to jump into the series, because I was never really massively into the hack and slash aspect of it. But if they can take that and add a bit more depth, or just round it out with a few more features to boil it down to that, then I'm going to be very interested. I will hand on admit that Xbox is where most of my friend base is, so that's where I play. But exclusives like this will definitely get the PlayStation on.
That sounds good. I mean, it's really interesting to see that that's coming out in April, because obviously there's other games that we're kind of waiting for release dates. There's Spider-Man, etc. So it's really interesting to see will Spider-Man get out before that, or does that mean that that's going to now push the other exclusives kind of further into the summer?
I can't see Spider-Man coming out before this. This is already getting a bit of a busy period. I guess you got Monster Hunter, you got Far Cry, you've got this, and that's all before the end of April. You're gonna need someone to move back, and if they front load it, I can't necessarily see what Sony have got first party for Christmas.
No, I don't know actually.
Because has Last of Us 2 been given a date yet?
No, not yet.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Between that and the other zombie one that's honestly I couldn't give a monkey's about, I think they don't want to front load too much.
No. It's just interesting because, when you do look at Sony last year or the year before, they did seem to put all their games out before the big holiday release, where, come holiday, they had nothing. They had no exclusives, because they would just say, well, you've got your Call of Duties, you've got your Star Wars Battlefront, you've got your Madden, so we're just allowing those guys space. But, yeah, I mean, I think we were talking about this before. I kind of think it would do well to come out at the same time as Infinity War, but that's April. So whether you would get God of War and Spider-Man in the same month,
it almost seems like a summer holiday game. Like Spider-Man for me, if you had to pick a date, you'd probably go August, because then kids are off school. Even college, uni students off with some spare time. That seems to be the best point, before the Maddens, before the Call of Duties. That seems to be the point where you should drop it.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, we're rolling into story number 2. While some things have been announced, other things have been delayed. Antony.
Yes. Well, a game that's not coming out... A game that's not coming out in 2018, and that is Anthem. So this week, BioWare and EA announced that they have delayed Anthem. So I think we all saw Anthem last E3. Very excited about it. The trailer looked amazing. It looked really good. It looked a bit like Destiny. Kind of had Iron Man jetpacks kind of thing. You would there was lots of co-op, lots of bouncing through waters and flying, and it looked really interesting. And it had a 2018 date, which a lot of people scoffed at, even though this game has reportedly been in development since 2012. So it's already been in development for a while, according to the Jason Schreier article. So it's almost like so there's a really good article in Kotaku that I'll put a link to, because Jason Schreier over at Kotaku, he's done a lot of investigation into Anthem, and it seems like, to start off with, there are a lot of the devs that were working around it going, it's very hard, we're not quite sure, so there seems like there are a lot of uncertainty around the title, but that's kind of flipped, and I think they were saying that a lot of people that they're talking to now, a lot of people that have come forward, they're very excited about this game, and they're defending the game, because there's a lot of YouTubers that are started to kind of bash the game, say, well, if it's been delayed, it must be terrible, and the developers are kind of taking a real kind of stance against that, so they must be quite proud of this item that they're working on, this game they're working on. But it's just really interesting to see that this game has now been delayed into the fiscal year, so which means that it should be released by the March 31st, 2019 is kind of when the game is kind of scheduled or needs to be out. So whether EA are going to make sure it's booted out the door by the end of March next year, or they'll give it an extension, but it's an interesting time for this game. Whether they have been developing it for so long, they've now seen all of these loot box issues that are popping up, and they're now going back and they're changing that, so it's now kind of pushed them back into the drawing board. I don't know, but what do you guys think? Have you been kind of watching or kind of keeping an eye on Anthem?
I was definitely interested in the trailer. I mean, that game looks like it could be right up my street, but I just think if they're going to push it back, that's good. It has to be good, right? Because that thing has to be good when it comes out. Otherwise, that studio is in trouble, I think. Yeah. After Mass Effect, I mean, what have they got left after that? Dragon Age, I don't know if they can bring that back, BioWare. But I don't know what they do at that point. So I'm glad they pushed it back, because if they keep pushing it back and it comes out and it's great, fantastic. I don't mind that at all. I think the trailer shows a lot of potential. You know, if you get a really good squad, 4-player based. Yeah, sci-fi jetting around kind of shooter game, that fantastic. I will take that any day of the week, especially if it's taking some of the things from Destiny and maybe sort of polishing them up and making them a little bit better. So I'm fine with them pushing it personally.
Yeah, I think to say a game gets delayed because it's bad is ludicrous, because occasionally you just might want more time to polish things up. Maybe you just want to make it better. It doesn't mean it's bad. You just want to make it better. Be that finish the art assets you want to do, make the infrastructure more secure, or even just find a better release date. Yes. Because if they had penciled in, for the same reason we were just talking about Spider-Man, like, you either pull it forward to avoid Call of Duties or you push it back. And as we see with things like Far Cry, I want to say Fallout, but Far Cry and Monster Hunter and just other games that are releasing this early spring period, like, this gives you a chance to breathe away from the pressure of an all or nothing Christmas period.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and potentially we could have, I know kind of one side is hoping for this and the other side doesn't think it will come out, but potentially we could have Red Dead. So we could have Red Dead. So you want to get out of the way, it would be interesting if they do bet their chips on that and say, right, okay, Red Dead's going to be out at the end of the year, and then it doesn't. It ends up coming out early next year. You know, that could be, again, it's like, you could be spot on there, James, where it could be they're just kind of getting out of the way of all of the clutter, where they couldn't find a nice spot in the calendar, plus all of these loot boxes. Maybe the design of the game right now is quite loot box heavy, with all of the flack that EA is getting from Battlefront at the moment. Maybe they just can't risk it. And also, as you're saying, Manny, you know, they need to get this right, because a BioWare will be lost if they've messed up Mass Effect now. You know, they need to do something big in the Mass Effect world, but then for Anthem to also kind of fail because of loot boxes, whatever it was, that would just destroy that studio.
Yeah, you just pray there's not some marketing person that's going to mess it up from at the last second, because that seems to be the trend, isn't it? But we'll see.
But I don't want them to be forced into kind of getting it out by the end of the financial year next year. It would be better, like you said, as you're saying, James, just to give them as much time as they can, just to kind of get this out the door. Because I love BioWare. You know, they've done some amazing games, and it's not a studio that you want to see disappear. There's a misstep on Mass Effect there, but there was a lot of. I'd love someone like Danny. Who is it? It's Danny O'Dwyer who does the no clip. I'd love to see a no clip documentary about kind of what happened with Mass Effect, because I bet there's just maybe a lot of voices in there. There's a lot of people going, you need to do this, you need to do that, and it just kind of really did kind of mess up that franchise.
Yeah, that you'll probably get that. I'd probably be in about 4 or 5 years' time, I would think.
Yes.
When everybody's left.
Yes.
Nobody cares anymore.
And everyone can't get sued.
Exactly.
Yeah,
there is about in about 4 years' time. There's about 10 books that I would love to read about different games, and not just bad things, but good things as well. The positives. Like the evolution of the Switch and how that became, and Xbox as well. Kind of the thoughts of Phil Spencer would be a really nice bedtime read.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't looked at it for a while, but on Gamer Sutra, like a more industry-focused gaming site, they often have, or they used to, I haven't looked for months actually, post-mortems from developers about their games. And admittedly, it never used to be like an expose because it was written, while most people were still employed, so you can only go so far. But there were times where you saw the other side of things, and it wasn't necessarily a fight or a justification of why things happen, but at least just a more rationale of, okay, this game turned out this way because of this, and it might have been a key design decision that either went wrong or was very justified and just skewed the rest of the product in a certain direction. And those are the ones that I really enjoy reading, because it's just a peek behind the curtain of just the thought process of, well, on the front of things, this just seems rubbish, or this thing's amazing. But it was just down to this one key choice that happened, 18 months ago or so.
That's really cool. I'll check that out as well. I'll have a look. I don't think I'd go on to was it Gamer Sutra?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll give that a look.
I'm now checking they still exist, because I haven't seen them around.
You haven't been there for a while.
Yeah,
it's all right. It's all right. They're still there.
You did get a 404 error. You're okay. It's
if you want a second source of that stuff, there's a GDC channel on YouTube which puts all of their talks up from GDC each year. And some of that stuff is fascinating on that side of things as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember watching a talk with Mike Biffle about where Thomas Was Alone, and I just found that just so interesting. I mean, the guy's quite an interesting speaker anyway. He's a real kind of enigmatic chap, and just listen to him talk about kind of when Thomas was alone. It was just absolutely superb.
Yeah, indeed.
His GDC's coming up soon, isn't it? Is it March?
I have no idea.
I think so. Could be March. But anyway, that's so
let's
Manny.
ask the expert.
Yeah, exactly. If only we had a games developer that could join this conference.
I'm quickly looking. Very expensive. It's doing that. Yep. March the 19th through to the 23rd.
Excellent stuff. So it is, yes, it's coming up soon. I was going to say, next piece of news, Manny, is with you.
Okie dokie. This is quite a good one. So, as you may have heard this week, the Xbox Game Pass service has gotten a whole lot better for those of you that were interested in it before. Because I seem to remember back in the day, Tony, you and Darren did a whole rundown of the games, and it was fairly lackluster, shall we say?
Yes.
But yeah, this piece of news is that basically Microsoft, I think I'm going to get this right first time, maybe not. Microsoft is going to put all of its first-party published games on there from now on, going forward on release date, on the day of release. So if you wanted to play, if you look at the banner, you've got Crackdown 3, State of Decay 2, and Sea of Thieves. So if you subscribe to their service for $7.99 a month, you'll be able to download each of those on the day of release and play it as if it were a full title, which is pretty damn spectacular in terms of value, I think.
Absolutely.
They're moving towards this kind of Netflix model, which is interesting for games, because I don't think we've kind of gotten here before, really. You've obviously got a bunch of services where you can pick up like Boomerang and so on and so forth, but we've never really had this in terms of games that are coming out on release, first-party stuff, there for you to play straight away. So yeah, it seems to be fantastically good value. And for $7.99, to be honest, I would definitely sign up for that, because the quality seems to have increased a lot now.
Absolutely. I mean,
just
right
for those
now,
three titles that we mentioned.
Exactly. Yeah. It's $7.99, $9.99 if you're in the US. So for a year, that's two. If you just bought Sea of Thieves which you should do anyway, but if you bought Sea of Thieves and Crackdown, that's the price of a Game Pass, isn't it? That's the price of a Game Pass for a year. I guess the only worry that I have, and I think Aaron Greenberg, I was trying to gin up on it before I went to pod, but I'm sure Aaron Greenberg this week said that they wouldn't be taking the first party titles out of Game Pass, that they would stay there, because they do rotate, similar to Netflix, they rotate some games, and they say if you go to Games Pass on the Xbox Dash, you'll see leaving soon. So there's actually like leaving soon, you have these games, so it's like, right, quickly play them before they go. And And I don't know that if you bag them and download them, that when they've left Game Pass, can you still play them? That's the kind of thing.
Not.
No,
I presume not, because this is going to be literally the Netflix model, isn't it? So they've got their own programming, which will stay there forever, and then the rest of it just sort of cycles through as and when they can get the rights for it and pay for it, basically.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things they came out with as well is Phil Spencer. Somebody asked him about a version of this coming to PC, possibly, and Phil Spencer said he couldn't announce anything at the minute, but it's a definite possibility. Basically, said yes in all but name, which could be interesting, because I don't know how they do that on PC without there being some kind of 360 emulation going on there, which they haven't done yet. So, because I can't think of how they'd fill out the roster without that layer, to be honest.
Yeah, because all of those first-party titles like Gears of War, 4, Halo, which are all in Games Pass at the moment, they're all Play Anywhere titles, aren't they? So you'll be able to, if you had an Xbox, you'd then be able to just then play them on the PC. But you're right, it's all the other backwards compatible titles would be interesting.
I presume that's something they could do from a technical standpoint, but I have no idea. So it would be interesting if they do go down that route.
But I think this is so. You were hinting that. Do you think you'll take up Game Pass? Because I haven't yet. I've tried it a couple of times, but I haven't. I was going to take it up because Flame in the Flood. That's another game that I've kind of always wanted to play. It's one of those ones where on a Sunday I've hovered over buying it because it looks like a really interesting game, and that's in Game Pass now. So I was like, I might as well just subscribe to Game Pass for a month, and then I can play Flame in the Flood and others. But I think this is definitely going to add $7.99 to that kind of pocket of monthly subscribes that I do, Flavorly, Netflix, Amazon Prime, and now Games with Gold, PS Plus, and now Game Pass.
There's that service where you can get a toasty sent to you as well every month, and there's also one where you can get ham sent to you. So you might want to combine those two and get yourself the ultimate gaming feast to go along with it.
That'd be so cool. Actually, Matt, last time he was on the show, he was telling me about bacon that he gets sent to him every month as well.
Oh, there's a bacon one. Brilliant. Okay, you can get all the meats.
Yes. So I'm interested. I'm really interested. I think this is something that I'm going to jump into, and I like the idea that you're getting these first party titles. It does. When I first read it, I think when you kind of dropped the news item into our WhatsApp group, it seemed like a bonkers move, because it was like, don't you like money, Microsoft? But now when you actually think about it, it's like everyone who would buy those games is going to go into this service, it will probably go into this service, and people that haven't bought those games will also jump into the service. If you're just bought an Xbox, so if you went PS4 in the next generation, but now you want to maybe try the exclusive titles, this is perfect. You buy yourself an Xbox, buy Game Pass, and suddenly you've got Halo, Gears. There isn't a Forza. Forza Horizon's not in there yet, is it?
I don't think so. No, I think the Forza ones are the only ones that are mysteriously missing. I don't know whether they're going to add back in the games that are not there currently. I guess they'll have to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just thinking about our group of friends, like that, there are people that definitely would have played Halo Wars 2 that didn't pick it up.
Yep.
Definitely would have played Forza 7 but didn't pick it up. So if you can get £8 out of those people rather than nothing, then that's got to be a bonus, surely. Because I think the people that want to buy it will buy it anyway.
Yes.
So yeah, it seems like a sensible thing to me.
Absolutely.
Bold move.
It seems like it would be a lot easier for when we were playing Gears of War, if we kind of suddenly go, right, you put a call out on the WhatsApp group and say, right, who wants to play Gears of War? And then I haven't got it. I haven't bought it. All it takes is Game Pass. It doesn't take a bold move like buying a £60, £50 game. We have to do is pay $7.99, and now you're playing Gears of War 4.
Exactly.
So I just think, I just thought this was, like I say, when I first saw it, I was like, this is bonkers, but as the dust was settling, I was like, this is just such a smart consumer-focused move. Now, whether this is because Microsoft are behind in the sales at the moment, it sounds like they had a really good Christmas. Aaron Greenberg was hinting that they had a really good Christmas, and based on the numbers from Switch and PS4, that they outsold both of them. But Microsoft don't kind of deal with that kind of number announcement, because talking about numbers, this would also screw the MPDs. So you would never be able to say, Gears of War 7 has sold this amount, because people will be picking them up on Game Pass. So only Microsoft will be able to know truly how many people are playing their games.
Yeah, I think they've kind of left that race, haven't they, now? Because they very, very rarely put out figures unless they're on top, and then they'll put a statement. I think they did that for December, but But they've kind of ducked out of that race now, which is fine. And to be honest, a service like this coming around, if it is a result of them being behind, then that proves that competition is really good, I think.
Yeah.
Because you will get services like this and offers like this popping up rather than people just being on top and staying there forever, and you just pay the same price all the time. So yeah, I think it's nothing but good, to be honest. As long as you can get the games on launch, if you can preload them as well, because obviously you'll want to play them first day. I think it's nothing but good, personally.
Yeah, I think, and also this is very interesting for the likes of Amazon, for the likes of GameStop in the US, for Game in the UK, because all it takes is $7.99, and now you're not buying those big titles. You're not. There's just the ones they have announced, which is State of Decay 2, Sea of Thieves, and Crackdown. The 3 games that will be coming this year. That's what, 100. That's like £120 worth of games that now Game isn't going to get. And I think one of the things that you did point there was as long as we can download them, pre-order and download them using Game Pass, because if a lot more people buy into Game Pass, that's going to be a lot more people using the infrastructure. So you need to make sure that... I love the idea... as you know, James is the same, you the same. We're buying digital now because it's quite nice that you download before the game comes out. It's all there, sitting there waiting. 12 o'clock, midnight, that game just pinks, it's unlocked, and you're ready to go. So you need to make sure that the infrastructure's there, because there's going to be a lot more people jumping into Game Pass, a lot more people now downloading Sea of Thieves on March the 20th.
Yeah, tons more, hopefully.
Yeah.
The one thing I will find interesting we might not ever find this out, but I don't know how they're going to break down the revenue in terms of who gets paid what from that service.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
How does that work? There's a wry smile in the middle, and I know people can't talk about it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But how does that work? Because do you pay Rare for that? Do you not? Do they know somehow that people have downloaded that game and they're going to play it, and do they get a cut for it? Who gets what? That'll be the interesting thing.
But is it like Apple Music? Like Apple Music, I'll go on. I'm trying to listen to a lot more new music, which is terrible. Which is why I go back to listen to old music. I kind of you start listening to the new Taylor Swift album. Where does she get money because I've downloaded? Is there money going back to that?
So. Yeah.
And it's just really interesting just to kind of find out. But the same with the game, isn't it? It's like there's a big chunk of revenue, which is why when I first heard about this, I thought, is this bonkers? Because there's a big chunk of revenue that's now kind of a lot cheaper for people to jump into those games. But more power to Microsoft. I think this will definitely have Sony head scratching, and it's almost like it's your move, Sony, isn't it? It's like, I wonder what they'll do, because if you compare backwards compatibility, games with gold, what does this do to games with gold as well? But if you compare it with like games with gold and Game Pass and all of that, compared to the Gaikai streaming and PS Plus, you're definitely getting more bang for your buck over in Xbox world right now. But there's still kind of more PS4s being sold. So it's like I say, competition's great for the consumer, and it's nice being stuck in the middle of a console war, because especially if you're like us, we have all of the consoles. We are just kind of we're just reaping the fallout of this war.
Yep. And then Nintendo is just playing with boxes, and they don't care at all.
Yes. It's quite interesting. We haven't got Labo, have we? We haven't got Labo on any of our news items, but Nintendo came out with their cardboard play sets.
Did you guys not cover that last week? I
No,
assumed you had. So
no, it was just going to break when we were recording. So I think we stopped. Steve and I stopped recording at about 9 o'clock, and then Labo dropped at 10 o'clock.
Oh, because I missed the pod last week because being away at the weekend, so never caught up. So just automatically assume you guys had.
No,
I do apologise.
We're Laboless. We're Laboless.
I feel like we have to inject a news story right now.
Breaking news, Nintendo. What did you guys think? I thought, again, it was one of those things where I saw it. I thought it was absolutely bonkers. So Nintendo Labo is the cardboard kits that Nintendo are bringing out. And when I watched it the first time, I thought, this is just amazingly bonkers. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I called Nicola in. She was just a bluting. Well, I called her in and I just said, I'm going to show you something. I was going to show you something that's crazy. I said, I'm going to show you something that's crazy. I said, but just think of what you would have thought if you were 8 years old. And I showed you this. And so kind of I preempted it and I showed her it, and she just looked at me and said, that's incredible. And I think it really dropped where the piano bit was really interesting, but it was at that point where they started to colour in the cardboard, started to put stickers on the cardboard that Nicola's eyes just lit up. And I can now see Sunday afternoons in the Chesson household where we're colouring in and customising our Labo creations.
It was. I think that was the thing that really won me over, because effectively this is just another brand of, I guess, peripherals. Like, you look at this and you look at what plastic tats we have around the house. I can see at least one guitar from here. There's a Virtual Boy over there. There's just lots of stuff that I have bought and attached to other consoles in my life in this room.
Yeah.
But I've never felt the ownership. Yeah, there's Manny's holding up a light gun. The nearest I've got to this was sticking a load of Viva Pinata stickers over like a Guitar Hero controller. I've never felt the level of customization that you saw in this. Just the ability to, just as you say, draw and stick, and the fact they're releasing accessory pack. And all of it together just brings in a level of creativity that adds to the game itself. Because like playing Guitar Hero is one thing, but actually spending time to construct the musical instrument that will be that piano that we saw on there is incredible. It adds an arts and craft aspect to it all. I mean, in this day and age, we have things like Minecraft, which is a digital level of creativity, but actually pulling the video games and actually involving the real world creativity is a stroke of genius, because you have that make and do, you have that tactile approach to getting involved in the system you're about to play with, and then you can just colour it green if you want, or blue, or put dinosaurs on it. It's just superb.
You've already designed yours, haven't you, already?
There's prototypes. I've got prototypes around here.
Prototypes, but they're all dinosaurs, right?
It's like you're playing the teeth in the T-Rex mouth.
Yeah. But that's it, and it's just, I loved it. There was one, so there's two kits that are coming out. There's one which is a multi-activity kit, which includes the piano and some other items, and then there is also there was like a mech or like a robot where you could build a backpack and you build a helmet, and then you interact with a game. There's a game on the Switch, and then you interact with that game. And I just thought that was fantastic, because when they opened up the backpack, there were some pulleys and there were some levers as well. So it was also kind of like springing back into action, and I just really just loved that part, that it's not just this basic cardboard cutout, that there's also going to be something a little bit intricate to it. And I think the instant thing that I thought when I saw that backpack was, and that fishing rod was Labo Luigi's Mansion. That's just going to be amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. You just have that, and that's your Hoover. You build a Labo Hoover.
Oh my word, my mind didn't go there, but now I want nothing more.
You could colour him a little L on the back, and how cool would that be?
Mario.
You could put your Luigi dressing gown on, and you can be Luigi.
Full on cosplay.
Yeah.
Did you see that they're going to put the templates up for free as well, apparently?
Yeah.
On the site. So if you do break them, you can just recut your own. If you've got a couple of Amazon boxes or something, maybe tape them together so they're thick enough and do it that way, which is great.
That's awesome. I didn't think about that, because I guess, I'm thinking about from us and from kind of like our point of view, we'd be very careful. But you could give these to kids, you could actually give these kids who could break it. They could break, it's only cardboard after all. So they're actually going to put
my paper toys.
Exactly. Leave my paper. These are not for you. It's like when
these are not toys. These are collectibles.
It's like when my friend brought his son round to when the movie room was together, and my mate brought his son round, and he was like, "Now I know these look like Lego, but they're Tony's Lego, and you're not allowed to touch them." And it was like my Ghostbuster. It was like the
guy. You're the guy at the end of the Lego movie. It's you.
I am.
You're the dad.
I'm Will Ferrell. So it was just like, it was so funny. It was like, I know they look like your toys, but these are Tony's. You can't play with them, and it was just really made me chuckle. But yeah, I didn't think about that. That's a really cool move, actually, that they put those templates up there.
Yeah, because that would have been the only downside if you had to spend 20 quid on getting a new chunk of cardboard sent to you through the post or something. So yeah, it's really good they've done that for sure.
Did you guys really like looking at how they would actually work, though? Because I watched the trailer through at first and went, "Oh, that's cool. That's cool. There's like a backpack and there's a piano and there's this dancing car." But then my mind went, "How?
Yeah, same.
How is this all working?" And then it was like a Professor Layton puzzle of going, "But how, given what you can do on the Switch, does this work?"
Yes.
Yeah. It's very, very, very clever, especially the piano, which I think is all done using IR, isn't it? Apparently,
Yeah. I think you press it down and it detects how far away from the IR it is, or there's some sticker on it or something like that. So yeah, it just goes, okay, that's 6 inches away, that's a C.
Yeah.
Which is great. It's simple but beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really, because I think like Steve and I at the end of the podcast last week we were speculating. Got to give Steve a couple of points. He did say cardboard. He said the words cardboard when I listened back to it. He did actually, because we were thinking it could be some VR that you'd have like a cardboard and you put your Switch into it and things like that. Yeah. So he was close. He was the Steve was he was close. He was almost spot on. But no one saw this. No one saw this coming. I think before it broke, there was some news. I think after we podded, I was looking around and there was some news that it could be like a Lego set. Like a Nintendo Lego kind of thing, which was equally as exciting. But I think Labo it's not what anyone expected. It's completely different, but I just can't wait to play it. Have you guys pre-ordered any Labo sets?
Not yet, but I will do. I think there's an Amazon voucher going on today as well for £10 off, and it's over £50. So I think I'll jump in on that today.
Good idea. Yeah,
that sounds a good idea. I've pre-ordered both sets and the creativity pack as well, but this last few days I've decided that's a lot of money to plunk down on some cardboard. So I am considering cancelling one of those and seeing how they fare out, because I want that piano. I think no matter what, but I think I could hold off on the backpack robot thing for the time being.
Yeah,
probably because it's the size. Maybe Ali could be able to wear it. She's tiny, maybe. But
make your own, adjust it. That's what it's for, right?
Yes,
that's true.
Indeed. Yeah. I guess the one thing that made me laugh, I think, James, you tweeted it out afterwards, was the one thing you have to watch is that your bunnies destroy cardboard.
Yes.
This is food to them.
Consumables. This is the ultimate gaming consumable.
Yes. So at least if you leave your Guitar Hero guitar on the floor, it would maybe just get nibbled, but these could just gnaw their way through your piano.
The amount of... I think each one of my bongos from the GameCube has got bunny nibbles and then surrounded by electrical tape as we've had to repair it countless times.
That's just so cool. So superb. Yeah, no, I'm glad we had a chance to talk about Labo, but I'm really interested that on the feedback that you saw kind of on Twitter was just general excitement and happiness about this. I haven't met anyone that thought it's stupid or kind of like balked at it, because I just think it's generally just like something of joy and very Nintendo.
It is, yeah, totally, yeah. You'd have to be dead not to look at that trailer and not think and not go, yeah, well done, well played.
Yes.
Even if it's not for me, that's fantastic, and I'm glad you're going down that path, because who else would, Nobody would, apart from Nintendo.
Yes, exactly. I think someone put out a really funny tweet just after it came out, and it was kind of like, Nintendo announced Labo, and this guy was like, yeah, but what's in it for me? I'm a core gamer. Where do I get? And they're like, but it's cardboard. And they're like, yeah, but why is it for me? Can't understand. And I think a lot of people kind of had to understand. Going, I thought you were going to put something hardcore out, and it turns out to cardboard, but they still love it anyway. But yeah, no, I can't wait to play it. Like I say, I think when it comes out, I'm ordering felt tips from Amazon. I'm just like I'm getting a nice array, some really good Sharpies. Again, there's going to be some creativity. Is this because
you have no felt tips in your house already, or is
yes.
it like you want a new set especially?
No, we have no felt tips. We have a selection of Sharpies from when we did our project management of the kitchen.
Just cover it in Post-it notes.
Yes,
just like this. It's a piñata piano. Go for it.
Oh my god, mind blown. So the next piece of news is with me, and that is that we have the Games for Gold for February. So just before we jumped onto pod, Major Nelson announced what the Games for Gold for February will be, and the Games for Gold this February will be from February the 1st to the 28th. We have Shadow Warriors, or Shadow Warrior, I should say. It's singular, not plural. Shadow Warrior. So this is a first-person. I had a quick look at the video because I didn't know what it was. So it's a first-person gun, sword, magic combined. So you have a gun, you have a sword, there is some magic, and it's a first-person kind of shoot-'em-up game. So which is quite interesting. Looks okay. But that will be on Games with Gold from the 1st of February to the 28th of February. Coming up on the 16th of February to the 15th of March, we have Assassin's Creed Chronicles India. So this is that kind of 2.5 side-scrolling kind of stick-em-up.
Yeah. Almost reminds me like Prince of Persia, I think,
yes.
the way it goes.
Was this out on the Vita or
I've not
something?
actually tried them yet.
I've heard mixed things. I think if you go into it knowing what they are, I think you get more out of it. If you go in expecting an Assassin's Creed game, you will be very disappointed.
Okay.
Excellent. And so that is from February 16th till March 15th. And then over on 360, but playable on Xbox One with backwards compatibility, we have from the 1st to the 15th of February, we have Split Second. So this was something we were talking about just the other day when we were talking about Burnout Paradise. So this is a driving game where you can trigger explosions to maybe change the track or quash the competitors that are behind you or in front of you. So this is...
I'll be interested to see how well that's held up, because I do remember really liking that game, but I remember it looked good at the time. I bet now it probably doesn't. But it was a lot of fun, for sure. You were like driving through like a sort of a movie set, basically, weren't you, on each of the tracks? There was the airport one where everything exploded and all sorts of other stuff in there.
That was
I thought I was the only person in the world that played that game as well until we talked about it the other day, because nobody ever knows about it.
It was just so cool. It was just like I say, if you were kind of like lagging at the back of the pack, you could just trigger that explosion and then it would just take out the pack, and it was just so cool. I really enjoyed that. So that's coming. I must admit, after we were talking about Burnout Paradise, I jumped in to Burnout Paradise on the Xbox One because it's playable via backwards compatibility, and I think Matt was right. I think he said that I would have it as a Games with Gold, so I fired that up, and it still looks okay. You know, it looks okay. It plays. It was a little bit floaty on the controls, but I had a blast for an hour. I thought I won't play it too much because obviously if they're bringing out the HD remastered that we haven't heard any more about, but if they're bringing that out, it'll be good to kind of jump back into that. But it was really cool, and I think don't quote me on this, but I think the servers were still up as well.
That is surprising, given that it's EA. Well, it would have been EA, wouldn't it, at the time? Criterion through EA, I think. But yeah, I'm shocked they're actually still up, because they normally close their servers down for all games. Yeah,
so it kept prompting me for kind of like servers and posting your times and things like that. So whether they've resurrected them for the HD remake. So, but it was
maybe
it was very interesting. So that's 1st of February to the 15th of February, and then at the end of February, 16th to the 28th, we have Crazy Taxi on the 360. So I love Crazy Taxi.
Is this the original? Is it like the port of the original, or is this like a remake? I couldn't figure this one out.
No, I think this is the original.
This was the one they did. They did like a Dreamcast collection on the 360 back in the day that had one of the Space Channel 5 games. I think a Sonic Adventure and something else. So it's a port of that version, I think.
Cool. Okay, but it is the arcade version, isn't it? So it's nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like, take me to the Gap, and then you have to I love this game so much.
It still plays really well. I was playing it last week.
Really?
Dreamcast. It's still brilliant. Still an absolutely fantastic arcade game. Play it for 10 minutes and then stop and come back to it. It's sublime.
Yes. I always remember this, and also that Simpsons game as well. There was a Simpsons Hit and Run.
Hit and Run.
Yes.
Yeah, that was actually surprisingly good. I remember that one. That was good.
I really enjoyed that. But I love Crazy Taxi. So that's coming from the 16th to the 28th of February. So an okay-ish lineup. I mean, I think the Xbox One games are a little bit kind of a little bit on the soft side, but the two 360 ones definitely got to get a bit of a thumbs up and a bit of a nod.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Crazy Taxi especially, you're going to get half the nostalgia there of, like, I know Ali absolutely loves Crazy Taxi, but it's the kind of thing that hopefully if it's free, everyone else can, dig in and see what we're all raving about at this point in time, because whereas Split Second, we question how it will hold up. I think Crazy Taxi hopefully is to the point where it's so simple and arcadey that it's virtually timeless.
I've just had my worst fears confirmed. I vaguely remember there being something weird about that Xbox version of Crazy Taxi. There's no offspring.
No.
Band. Do you remember the song?
Yeah.
At the start? Yeah. There's none of that. It's gone.
God
damn it.
February's ruined.
It is.
It's over. You could just listen to it on headphones.
Yeah. get your Walkman out, put that side of the cassette on, and press play.
Yeah. Put the CD in your Xbox, rip it to your hard drive, create a custom playlist.
Those were the days. I used to have some really cool stuff like on my hard drive for different driving games. There was just some really good kind of, like I say, like some really good like Foo Fighters and all like Offspring and some really good hip hop.
It's like different flavours of racing games meant different flavours of soundtracks.
100%. This was pure quality.
Like Alta Vista would get something different than Project Gotham.
Yes. It was just like, right, you had to have like Exhibit, like X is going to give it to you, all those sort of stuff. And I was like, right, this is what I'm an organised chap, and I had this like...
The white boy listening to some gangster rap.
Exactly. I was like, he'd never be more gangster than me in the 90s.
Rolling down Tunbridge Wells High Street.
But it was so cool. So I had different games had different playlists. It was really kind of, if they weren't going to do the job, I was going to create my own playlist. And that's why I loved when Forza Horizon 3 brought in the Windows.
Was it Groove? I can't remember what their service is now.
Zune playlist?
Come on, it's not. It's barely cold. Come on, guys. Groove.
What was it actually called? They changed it to Xbox Music, didn't they? Is that right? Or am I making that up?
I think it was Zune that started. Then it went to Xbox Music. Then it was Groove.
Groove. Yeah.
Is it dead? Is it still going? I don't know.
I think they've at Christmas they shut it down as like
they shot it. They took it outside and shut it.
Yeah.
Said you're not as good as Spotify.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you can still connect to it because I've got everything on OneDrive, so I can still stream my stuff through it into Forza Horizon. So
nice. Right, and then the next piece of news, James, or the last piece of news, James, is with you.
Yeah, this is actually, I'd like to say, unfolding as we speak, because I pulled this up earlier as it was just, quite frankly, ridiculous. Ubisoft are making their own version of Siri, specifically for their Ubisoft Club, that sort of layer that floats across all the Assassin's Creed and Far Cry games that, you can get, what are they called? Are they called Ubi Points?
Yes.
Like their own in-game achievement / currency that allow you to unlock cheats and wallpapers and all sorts. So there was a video put up yesterday regarding a app that you could download, and it was called Sam. You could basically ask Sam about your Ubisoft games, and there was a video put out of a chap going, okay, how long have I played Ghost Recon for? Okay, and then Sam would reply, and then at work you'd see him spying on his friends, like, what's Jeff up to? Jeff is playing Steep. And then when he was getting in the taxi home from work, he was like, I think I'm going to play some Rainbow Six tonight, and Sam would go, it looks like you suck on this level, would you like a walkthrough? And it just looked tedious as anything. Like them trying to find a reason that people want to download an app on, quite frankly, an infrastructure that no one cares for. But they've now pulled down the video. So the news story that I was looking at for this, the video no longer links. So I don't know whether they just had such ridicule over the last 24 hours that they've just decided to can it completely. But it looked the most pointless and just... I don't see who would use this. Who would use this at all?
Is this just complete obsession with building these AI services now, isn't there? That they're in everything, but nobody uses them. I don't know a single person that ever uses them, apart from I used to use it on my iPhone to set a timer because I was too lazy to do it on my fingers. That's it. Like Siri, set timer 5 minutes, job done. But Tony uses them.
Are you surprised by this? Are you surprised by this? The man who has a doorbell that you can look at from 200 miles away.
I'm not surprised.
From around the world, I was talking to my neighbour when I was in the US, and it was like, because my neighbour next door had basically parked my wheelie bin on my path, so I could see it on my Ring doorbell. So I said to my neighbour, I said, "Could you do me a favour? Could you move that, because that's a big indication that no one's there."
Kenneth, can you move it? Left a bit.
This is the creepiest thing I've ever done in my life.
But no, it's really funny because I felt the same as you. I use Siri to kind of every now and then go, Siri, can you set my alarm? Can you do this? But I use it. I've started to use them all the time now because Siri works with all of my hue lights. So I'm like, Siri, I'm going to bed, and it's starting now. So I'm just going to tell you, if you hear bidding, that's because I'm talking about those words. So I say, Siri, I'm going to bed, and my lights go off in my house. And but at Christmas, my brother-in-law bought me an Alexa in a Sonos. So I got an Alexa and a Sonos, and I love it so much. I'm just like, I'm cooking in the kitchen, and I run out of black peppercorns or whatever, and I'm like, Alexa, can you add black peppercorns to the shopping list? And then I have a app called If That Then This, which adds it to my Todoist, which is where I runs my life. Basically, it's my to-do app for work and life, and it just adds it to that. And then I'm like, just now I was down in the kitchen, I was like, Siri, could you play... I'm like, Alexa, could you play Graceland by Paul Simon? And it just starts playing. And then it's just... And I just use it all the time now. And I just absolutely love it. So I'm just like, it's even to the point where I'm just like, Alexa, could you set a timer? So I now, like, Alexa sets a timer. When the timer goes out, all the lights in my house flash. So I know wherever I am that the timer has just stopped. Nicola's having a fit because all the lights are flashing, but I know that time has ended. And it's just... I used to laugh at all of these things. I always wanted Connect to work. I'd always walk into the room and go, Xbox on, and it never would. I'm like, Connect, Xbox. But Alexa on Sonos is just really working well, and it can hear you over loud music.
That's an integrated solution. That is an integrated solution that goes
absolutely.
across the entire house. And
yes.
whilst I don't have enough Internet of things or music in one storage space to actually make it worthwhile, but I agree when you can control more than just your Ubisoft points.
Yes,
I can see there is a point to it.
Yes,
but on something that sounds as like rich and in depth as the Nintendo Online app on the phone, why does this exist?
Yes. What they should have done was just plug that into Siri, and then you would have been able to do it with Siri or Alexa. Well, that's what they should have done.
You could probably do that now.
You could probably integrate it.
But who's going to say, how long have I been playing Assassin's Creed? Yeah, exactly. How long have I been playing Assassin's Creed?
How do I climb that tower?
Yeah. Oh, you look like you're stuck. I'll show. No, I don't agree with that. I do agree with these AI-based things are working, and I'm just like one step closer to that Star Trek world that I want to live in. And it's just that's what I find. It's very cool. But yeah,
I always find them they are really magic when they work, but I can't get over the fact that I'm talking to nothing. It just weirds me out every single time. Maybe I just need to get over it, just spend a week doing it and convince myself I'm not going crazy, then it'll be fine.
Yes. I think the interesting thing is when it beeps when you haven't said Alexa. So when you haven't said, like, Alexa, and it just beeps. So I'm just there talking to Nicola about something, and it'll just beep. And I'm like, what has just triggered? And, you get freaked out that someone's listening to you. But I think apart from that, it's quite cool. You go down to the kitchen, I'm like, Alexa, I'm just about to, like, pack the dishwasher. I'm like, Alexa, play something funky. And it just plays something random from the Amazon Prime Play Store. It's just that sort of stuff. I just absolutely love it. It's just very cool.
I remember when was it Halo the Master Chief Collection maybe had the I think that had voice support in it, so you could, if you wanted to go. I can't remember if it was Master Chief Collection or maybe one of the Redux ones, but one of them definitely had a system where you could go, "Hey, Cortana, throw a grenade."
Oh, something like that. Really?
If you really couldn't reach up and press a button, you could get them to throw a grenade.
Oh my
God. This caused
hell
merry hell
when
I was playing, and then Ali would come in and start having a conversation with me. And just like you're saying, like when Siri or Cortana or someone beeps in the corner, it's like, I didn't say that. So halfway through, Ali is just there spamming my grenades for me. I'm just, this isn't helpful. No, don't reload. Oh, God.
I love that.
I'm going to go try that straight after this.
Ali just coming into the room going, grenade! And then running out again. You're like, damn it! He's trying to stealth through a part of Reach. But I think a Forza Horizon 2 had it as well. I think you could ask...
What, grenade?
No. They tried to go edgy for Forza Horizon 2. No, I'm sure you could ask for, like, the next route or set a route or something like that. I'm sure there was...
Oh, yes.
You could, for sure. That was in 3 as well.
Yeah.
I think she was called Anna, if I remember rightly.
Yes,
Anna.
That's
do that.
Anna, set the next route, or Anna, where can I go next, or stuff like that. But
that's right.
But I think this Ubisoft thing's absolutely bonkers. But I do like the tech, but I don't. Yeah, there's just no point, is there? There's just no point. But do you say it's been taken down now?
Well, the video has disappeared.
Right.
Make of that what you will at that point.
Oh, man, that is just so interesting. But yeah, why? Why? I love that when sometimes you look at things, it's just like, why? Well, just why?
Yeah. I mean, I can get, like, I guess some people complain about the PC space with different stores with like Blizzard and Activision and everyone and EA and Ubisoft all having their own storefronts, but at least I can see a point to those. Like, people might want everything in Steam, but hey, it's good to spread it around so one place doesn't become a monopoly. But there's a function. There is a literal function there. That is a store place where you will earn money and do something, and people will play your games from that. But yeah, it just seems like clutter on the App Store for the sake of it. For just going, we've got some people knocking around who want to do some apps. Can we think of an intern project? Anything?
Just give them something to keep them going. So yeah, I mean, I think the only time I've ever delved into the Ubi store, I think, was when we were playing The Division. just because there were some cool beanies that we could buy with our Ubi points, and I think I had amassed so many Ubi points because I'd never been in there before, and that always happens. It always pops up. It spoils the achievement because I think the Ubi club toast comes up before the achievement toast when you're playing like Assassin's Creed or something. So it's always like, and then the achievement will pop afterwards.
Yeah, I've used the PC version of Uplay quite a bit, and it's not too bad. It's a standard store kind of thing, but it updates like every day. It's really annoying. They literally push an update to it every single day.
Oh, really?
You launch it. I've literally just launched it now, and it's got an update, and I launched it yesterday.
Is this their way of dropping news
time.
stories? You have to download the news stories.
Yeah. Download the new towers for your games.
That's awesome. So we'll keep an eye on, what was it, Sam, the personal gaming assistant.
Please don't darken my doorstep, Sam.
Please don't come back. So that's about it for this episode. Big thank you for listening. Thank you very much, guys.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent stuff. Don't forget you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at Lost Spark Pod. You can find us on YouTube and also Gamers Lost Spark, PS4 Community and Xbox One Club. Chaps, where can people catch up with you? James?
You can find me as Big Sheep on all platforms under the sun.
Nice. Manny, what about you?
I am General Garcia on Xbox and Steam, Presidente Garcia on PlayStation, and Manuel_Garcia on Twitter.
Excellent stuff. For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch, and PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Well, that's it. I'm going to go and play some Sea of Thieves.
Yar.
Yar.
We'll just leave it at that. Bye, guys.
It's not a segue if you call it out!